Well, good morning, DCL. Good afternoon, DCL podcast fans. Christy and I are back. Just wanted to give a quick update with all the information that came out of the Wonder. We were doing a live show yesterday talking about everything that was going on with the announcement of the Disney Treasure, which is Disney Cruise Line's newest ship, and then also talk about the Wonder. And as we were talking, all these dates were coming out, weren't they, Christy?
Yeah, and they were like contradicting each other, and there's different dates for different things. And so one set of dates were coming out, but then the press release said something different. But now it all makes sense. So we have information, and you just get more of us.
You too. So this is just going to be a quick Cabanas episode talking about what we know as far as the bookings for the pre-positioning cruises of the Disney Wonder down to Sydney. She's going to be sailing through Hawaii and then down to Sydney, and then she's going to be doing a bunch of sailings down there. We've got some thoughts about that real quick as far as what's available down there. And then we will give you an update quick too on what's going on with Disney Plus availability from what Christy's seeing as far as booking availability for all of you Disney Plus subscribers that are trying to save some money right after the first of the new year. So let's start with what we know about the Disney Wonder. Where do you want to start first, Christy? The booking dates or what's available?
Well, let's start with the cruises that are being advertised to the US market. So these are going to be the Trans-Pacific cruises.
Okay. You want me to do the dates on those then?
Sure.
Okay, so the Disney Wonder will be leaving Vancouver, and this is October 3rd of 2023. So next year, next October. So basically about a year from now, she's going to be leaving Vancouver on a 10-night Hawaiian cruise from Vancouver to Honolulu. She will be stopping at Hilo, the Big Island, Nawili Wili, which is on Kauai, and then also Kahului, Maui, 5 days at sea. And they have given prices already as far as price per person for all the different category staterooms. Of course, these are opening day prices and beginning
and lead-in prices. So like it's going to be the Navigator's veranda, not the full veranda, stuff like that. The white-walled verandas, whatever. So just so you know, if you usually book a particular category that's not the lead-in with the slightly obstructed views and things like that, you're going to pay a little bit more.
Okay, and I'm not going to go through all the prices or anything.
We're not going through any of the prices. How about that?
Yeah,
they're on the site.
Yeah, go to DTL's website. You can click on the South Pacific. There's a huge thing. Scroll down to the very first page. You'll be able to scroll down and click over, and you'll see all the information there. Okay,
it's on the website too. Just so you know, they now have it in the little drop down of the different that like upper left. So they've updated it since yesterday.
Okay,
and even since earlier today.
Liz says good morning. Hey, Liz. Hey, hello again. Okay, from there she'll transition once she gets over to Hawaii on October 13th, 2023. She'll be doing a 13-night sailing down through the South Pacific from Honolulu to Sydney. It's going to feature 10 days at sea, and then it's going to feature stops at Pago Pago, American Samoa, then also, and I do not know my South Pacific islands very
Fiji.
well. Yeah, it's going to stop in Fiji, and then it's going to stop in Noumea, New Caledonia. So really
which is New Zealand.
Okay.
My Google.
Yeah, it's a northern island of New Zealand, and then finally into Sydney. Once again, prices are shown there. And one thing I didn't notice, but I just real quick, what I found out on Twitter was the reason why it shows it's a 13-night is because you lose a day.
Oh, yeah.
So when you go across the equator, I guess.
It's
so. Or the international.
Oh, yeah, the international date line. It's 10 days at sea. 10 days at sea. Imagine the books one would read.
Oh, yeah. Chris would never get a book read, would she? Okay, and then from there, she will be doing sailings in Sydney, also Melbourne, and then over to Auckland, right, Christy?
Oh, yes, because yes. I was like reading the next one on the chart, and I'm like, Steve, these aren't the things that this one says.
Yeah,
but yes. So then she's doing these little magic at sea cruises, which Steve, for people who are watching, Steve has put the chart up of where they're going. They're basically 2 to 6 night cruises marketed to the individuals that live in Australia and New Zealand. It's not to say it is everybody can book. So you can come from the States and book. Obviously, the 2-night cruises are going to be cruises to nowhere, but then it mixes in. There's like 2 6-night cruises and There's a couple of 4-night cruises. We're still waiting, at least as of a couple of hours ago. They hadn't gone live on the website so you could see these itineraries, but I did have to call Disney earlier today and I asked them, like, there's a 6-night out of Sydney on the 28th of December. That one has a stop at that New Zealand island, that Nomea, New Caledonia island. And then the 4-night that's over Christmas Eve and Christmas does go to Tasmania, Hobart, which appears to be like a city in that island. So they both have pretty stuff, but obviously the ports are typically more in the cities. So one would want to do a little bit of research to see like how far to something they would want to do. But I mean, both look amazing. That no New Zealand island looks like it has like these amazing waterfalls and just really pretty stuff. I'm pretty sure that was the one that had it. So you could, from the States, create a vacation that involved going over to Australia for these sailings. You just have to see like what else makes sense, because obviously you can't just go for these short cruises. I mean, you could, but it's a really long flight.
And a lot of money to do that too. To get down there. So
So there
yeah.
is a 5-night that leaves Melbourne in November. So the longer cruises. There's a 5-night that leaves Brisbane in December. There's a 6-night that leaves Sydney in at the end of December, and then there's another 6-night that leaves Sydney January 14th. So I guess those are just the longer cruises to give you an idea. You can call your travel agent, they can book it for you. Obviously, if you don't have a travel agent, I can assist you with it. The and then you just have to decide. Like, I think you're going to take a minute to decide what you want to do. One more thing that they're doing is, for the Trans-Pacific cruises, there is a short escape on both ends. So when you arrive from take that Hawaii to Sydney cruise, there is a 3-night, 4-day Adventures by Disney trip, which is gonna get you the highlights of Sydney, which is I mean, I think it's definitely, if I was going all that way and I hadn't been to Sydney, I would definitely consider it. And it's on both ends. So if you're going back in February at the end of the season, you can do the same thing where you go and do that Adventures by Disney before your trip.
And I should have been ready for this, but I can't find the longer sailings. What we're showing up here are all the kind of Magic at Sea sailings, all these dates that you're seeing on this little screen right up here. If you're watching from home or whatnot, it is just those. Like, think about what they did on the Magic out of Great Britain, the United Kingdom,
Yes.
during the pandemic. These are, just a couple nights. Get on the ship, enjoy it, and see, experience the restaurants and the shows and everything like that. And I can't find those longer sailings. Where do you have those listed?
Um, I can send you that link again. They are on the Hawaii Pacific website. So, or that drop down. And then when you get to that page, it's in the chat now, Steve. When you
Okay.
get to that page, it's in view sailing dates.
Okay.
But you were reading it and then you lost it. This is
Oh man,
live, people. This is live.
live.
Okay. A couple other things, Steve, I was going to talk about these prices for these Trans-Pacific cruises really aren't that bad. Like, a starting price for that 13-night in a veranda. So remember, this is the Navigator. For a couple is $8,000. For a 13-night cruise, I don't think that's bad at all. With 10 sea days. So that means Disney has to entertain you. And one of the cool things they're going to do on this sailing is they will do some of those like Mickey and Friends pictures, that where all the characters are in the lobby, and they'll have them for different nights. Like sometimes they'll have them for whatever their pirate night situation is going to be over there, and whatever the outfits are, however they're going to work that like themed night that you're going to have in your cruise at some point. We don't know what that is yet, obviously, but they'll have the characters where you can go and take that group picture, which is just one of those things that you cannot get otherwise. They will also open up on the Trans-Pacific cruises for sure, the kids club, to do adult time in there. I forget what they call it, but that will be an option. And then for kids, they usually will do a sleepover actually in the kids club as well. So like some really cool opportunities if you're going to take one of these cruises to have some unique experiences that you're not getting on your Bahamian cruises.
Right.
You just have to quit your job to leave it for that long. Kidding. But it's a long time in like October, right? Like who typically takes a 2-week trip in October? Somebody out there, but I'm not sure who that is.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the toughest part for people. Is just like, most people that have school age kids, it's a long time to take them out for this, unless they're really young or you've got some other abilities to do this. So
it's great for the homeschooler crowds and just for people that either have really younger kids or are going as adults only.
Yeah. Well, let's get you back to Hawaii then. I guess the other thing, I just looked at that Adventures by Disney. So I just kind of know that short escape is all from Sydney, and you do 2-day trips out of Sydney down to a couple different things. So as far as if you wanted to add that add-on that they're advertising, at least on the website right now, there is Australia ABDs as well, which cover a larger part of Australia, and they are longer trips. I believe it's a pretty long trip. I think it's an 8 or 9 night.
It's a 9-night.
9 night. I knew it was pretty long. So
and the price goes along with those nights.
It does.
We happened to do a quick perusal last night, and we're like, okay, good to know.
And
a family of 3 would be over the holidays would be $30,000.
Good friend of the show, Donna, she was on, and she did that with her family down with Australia. So if you want to do a Google search of Adventures by Disney Australia, one of the podcasts we did, you'll be able to find that and find out all the information there. So after the sailings down there, if you decide to go down, and I would I guess personally, I would highly recommend trying to fit it in with one of the longer sailings down there. Or maybe just do a short one and then explore Australia on your own, however it works out for you. But she will leave Australia on February 16th, 2024 on a 15-night sailing that's going to go back to Honolulu, once again stopping at New Caledonia, Fiji, American Samoa, and then she does make one stop at Kahului, Maui before she goes to Honolulu, so you get one stop in the islands on the way back. And then from there, she does a 10-night sailing March 1st, 2024, where she's going to go around the islands, kind of like the previous sailings. We just had Melissa and her son Andrew was on a podcast just 2 or 3 releases ago talking about what it was like to sail around the islands first and then sail back to Vancouver. One thing to make note of is it's nice and warm while you're sailing around the islands, and then it gets very cold as you head back towards Vancouver. So something to think about if you sail that way on it.
It might be an opportunity to save money too, because it's a cruise that it might be easier to do an ocean view because you're not opening up that door so often.
Hey, that's a good point. Yeah, because she didn't, like she said too, as far as having a veranda in the ports, they were off the ship most of the time. So
and you can go to deck 4 to see it.
Exactly. So that 10-night sailing, it's going to stop in Hilo on the Big Island, Wili Wili, again, Kauai, stopping Kahului, and then eventually make its way back to Vancouver, which begs the question. It'll be interesting to see what happens between the Magic and the Wonder, because she's going to be back in Vancouver in the middle of March, and that's going to be too early to start Alaska sailing. So my guess is if she hasn't done a dry dock, she'll do a dry dock then, or then go down to San Diego and do some of the sailings down to San Diego. So that's kind of the look at it. Should we go into the bookings and when to book?
Yeah, let me start with Australia because it's the easiest.
Okay.
Australia, you're going to actually book on September 29th, 8 a.m. Australian time, which is the 28th at 6 p.m. our time. So that is when those bookings, and it does say the bookings open up live for everybody. So you should be able to book regardless of where you're located.
Have they said anything on the travel website as far as like blackouts, as far as being able to use onboard booking credits or anything?
No, but they've never been able to be used on longer sailings.
Okay.
Or over Christmas. So, or over New Year's. So and those are the longer sailings, at least there are shoulder ones, right? There's the one in November and there's the one in February or January, I believe, which has like a 6-night in there. But the other ones are over Christmas or over New Year's. So the likelihood is you're not going to be able to use it.
Jen says her anniversary is in October. Sounds like a perfect anniversary trip to go on.
Yes.
All right, let's talk about for the longer sailings, the pre-positioning sailing. So going to Sydney or to Hawaii, then to Sydney, and then back. Those booking windows are going to open October 3rd for Platinum Castaway Club members and our Golden Oak members. October 4th will be Gold Castaway Club members. October 5th will be Silver Castaway Club members. Eligible DVC members and Adventures Insiders, people that have been on a previous Adventures by Disney trip. And then October 6th will be all guests. Go ahead, Christy.
And if you are a DVC member or an Adventure Insider, you just need to have your number and you tell that to your travel agent. You don't have to call DVC or ABD to book those. You can still book it through your travel agent and they will book the regular way through Disney Cruise Line. They just have to call it in and then have those numbers. They get verified and then you can book it.
Okay. And so I think that's it. October 3rd is when it's going to open up. Watch for, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of information out as far as how those bookings are going and what's going to be available, I guess, starting then for those of you who are interested in possibly being able to do this. Anything else about these sailings that have kind of come out, Christy?
No, nothing else yet. It's going to, though, because like Disney's site as of earlier didn't even have, like if you were to check the Wonder in the fall of next year, it was just totally grayed out. And yeah, Sydney is still not listed as a port. So we'll get there.
All right. Since I have you here, I just wanted to get a quick update on Disney Plus booking availability. That opened up on the 8th. As far as if you're a Disney Plus subscriber, you could get some savings there. How's that going, and what are you seeing for that?
Yeah, that's still such a good sailing. So as long as you have more than 3 people in a cabin, that third and fourth guest can be at no real charge. Like the cruise fare doesn't have a charge. You still have to pay taxes and fees on them. But it's they're booking. The website is mostly working. Parties of 5 have to be called in. Major spring break times are blacked out. And there were some like partial spring break times, like March 27th on the Dream, for example, that is still available to be booked. However, like if you have a party of 4, you typically have to call that in, and parties of 5 for that cruise for the Disney Plus option are sold out.
I wish we could fit that in because, man, that's a great savings, but we just do not have time between then. Yeah. Just too much stuff going on with school, and it's just we've got other things going on then. So unfortunately, but for those of you who have the ability to do that, what a great savings. So
absolutely. So it's been fun. I had a client who is already booked on that on the President's Day week. President's Day is included. That one's starting to get more booked up too. And for that cruise on the Fantasy to be included is just shocking because typically those prices are so much higher. So my client saved thousands of dollars for a cruise she was already going on. So, your travel agents would have checked it and should be checking and making sure that those savings are applied for you.
I love that. I guess one last thing, just to so people know that you have to pay the full fare for the first 2 travelers on the booking. So that does not include Florida residency, if there was military, any type of bookings like that, right?
No other discounts, including onboard bookings.
Yeah. Derry says, I wish we could do a Pixar sailing. I wish.
I know.
I know. I'm excited about the Pixar Pier Hotel
at Disneyland. I know. Yeah. It looked so pretty. That like pool area looked fantastic.
Yeah, this is a total segue. And I didn't even realize this until just recently. They've got their own entrance to Disney's California Adventure now. How cool is that? They do. Honestly, they do. It's pretty amazing. So
where is it at?
It's kind of like, where the Incredicoaster is when you go underneath that, and there's like that, whatever, the whirling thing.
That's awesome. For real?
Yeah. It's been open for quite a while. So not only can you get straight into the park from the Grand California now, you can do it from what's going to be Pixar Pier. So yeah. Anyways, excited about that. All right. Before we get out of here,
our listeners are confirming that that's true.
Well, before we get out of here, Christy if people want to use your services as a travel agent, and I mean, look at that. She saved somebody thousands of dollars. And I know she saved me thousands of dollars just about a month ago when I transitioned one of my cruises to a military rate. So if people want to get hold of you and use your services, how can they do so?
You can reach me. My email is Christy@packyourpixiedust.com. And on my website, packyourpixiedust.com, has a contact me section, which also lists my phone number, email address again. If you just want to have an easy click, it's all there for you.
And you can always find it in the show notes underneath each one of our podcasts too. And I think I will put this out as a quick audio podcast too.
Okay.
So,
good information. I think this is exciting. I'm curious to see how they do. It's something interesting and new. I love that. So we'll see. I wish there were longer Sydney sailings.
I do too, but I kind of feel like, going down there and giving people those 2-day sailings to get a lot of people down in Australia, maybe onto the ships that have not had the ability to come and to kind of try the product out. And maybe that's going to transition. I mean, my gut feeling is that, not that you and I know anything, is if this is successful down there, they will do it again. So,
and that's what this is for. I mean, even if you look at the website, it is for Australians and New Zealanders. So it's for that market, and we would just be guests, showing up if we went on it.
Right. But I really think that, like, if it's successful, they will continue to do it in the coming years and hopefully have a little bit longer sailings for those of us that take the time to get down there. So
I was looking at the comments, and that meant it was playing out loud.
All right. Well, any other final thoughts, Christy, before we get out of here?
No, let us know in the comments, especially, even if you listen on the audio version, find the post. Let us know if you're going to book something, and then everybody can report back when it's time to book how it went.
Definitely. So, well, as we get out of here, thanks for a couple of you who got to watch us live here. Thanks for all of you coming back and taking a listen to our podcast each and every week. Appreciate the support. Thanks to our Patreon members who help bring this to you ad-free each and every week. And I guess good luck. We'll be talking about this probably a couple more times before the booking window opens. But for those of you who are thinking about making these sailings or trying to get on these sailings, we want to wish you all the best in booking those, and can't wait to hear about it when you get back. So goodbye, everybody.
Yes. Bye.